Hello YouTube, this is Noah, and today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and review of the Umarex Colt Python BB pistol. And for people who've been subscribed to my channel for a long time, this may seem like an off-topic video compared to my others, and you are partly correct, yes. I just wanted something, because I never really had a real BB gun before, and I kind of wanted to have something to shoot, but I didn't want the inconvenience of having a real gun as to limiting myself to being only able to go to the range to be able to use it. So I wanted a middle of the road, something that felt like a real gun, but also was cost effective and able to be used more often than a real gun. This may not be available in every state of the United States. These are allowed in my states. You don't need any permits or anything. But it does, as you can see, look like a very real gun and will probably be mistaken for a real gun in the eyes of law enforcement. So you're going to want to be really careful when using this, and I would only recommend using it in your backyard if it's a safe backyard. Probably not a good idea to buy this if you live in the city at all. But if you, if you live in suburbs where you won't really be seen with this, or rural areas for sure, then this is perfect because it's a blast to shoot and doesn't make too much noise. It definitely doesn't sound like a real gun, but it's audible from a distance. I mean, you won't hear it from a mile away like a real gun, but you'll hear it if you're like within 400-meter radius maybe. But yeah, the reason I chose the Colt Python from Umarex is I wanted something that felt like a real gun. And this gun is pretty much all metal except for the handle. And yeah, I wanted something that, didn't feel like a cheap toy, but also wasn't a real gun that I had to, take to the range and clean and buy expensive ammo for. And so this is what I came across. And like I said, this is totally off topic from my other videos. This isn't really tech at all. But I guess you're here watching it, and if you're watching it, then welcome to my channel. But if you are one of my subscribers, yeah, I don't know, you might be interested in this maybe. But like I said, I just wanted something fun to shoot that I could, because I've never really had a real BB gun before. And this is a CO2 BB gun, if you have not realized already. It uses 177 gram BBs, or 177 caliber, whatever you want to call them. I think they're 12 grams BBs or whatever. But yeah, the BBs that I bought were Daisy BBs, and I have 25 pack of Crosman CO2 that I bought with this. I'll probably be buying Umarex CO2 in the future because the Crosman CO2, the packaging was damaged when I bought it, and all the CO2 canisters were just rolling around the box. And the Umarex CO2, it looks to be a lot cleaner and only marginally more expensive. Still a fraction of the cost of what it would be to shoot the real Python. But that's the other thing to mention. This thing looks a lot like the real Python if you've ever seen it before. And the Python is pretty much it's a very exclusive handgun. It's not being made anymore. And it's more of a collector's item now, really. For people that have it, they treat it like a collector's item. And I don't know, I think it's cool to have something that simulates a collector's item, even though it's not the real deal. It's kind of the same principle as owning a model of a Cobra. My friend owns a model of a Cobra, and I mean, it's a cool car, it looks awesome, it sounds awesome, and you might even mistake it for the real Cobra, but it's still a fraction of the cost and much more effective to drive. Same thing with this gun. It's obviously a lot cheaper than the real Python at about $80 for the gun, and the BBs are very, very cheap, almost dirt cheap, and CO2 is pretty much the same. So shooting this gun is not going to blow your budget at all. I would like to mention that the CO2 canisters for this gun go through about, I think 80 rounds of the bullets. And this Python's unique in the fact that you don't have a magazine. Each bullet has a hole in the top, and that's where you put the BB. So rather than having a magazine with, 18 BBs, you put the BBs into each one of the bullets, and then you load the bullets as if you load a real revolver. It adds to that authenticity of it being a real revolver, even though it's not. And the fact that the CO2 is located on the bottom also adds to that authenticity. And it just overall makes it a very nice quality feel. And if I weren't somebody who was quite aware of what guns look like and stuff like that, then I would easily mistake this for the real thing. Aside from one thing, and that's there's a ton of markings and writing on the right side of the guns. I'm going to show you here in a second, and that kind of gives it away that it's not the real deal. But aside from that, this thing looks very realistic. It feels very realistic. I'm not sure the exact weight, but if you ever held a real gun before, this feels very similar to what a real gun would feel like. And it feels very comfortable in the hands. The only thing I don't like personally is the grip. The plastic kind of feels cheap, and what I ended up doing was tightening it a little bit more, because it kind of flexes when you squeeze it a little bit. But tightening it up removed any of that squeezy feel that I had before. I really wish this thing was compatible with real Python grips, because I would love to put, faux ivory grips or wood grips on this to match my black and white or just dark color scheme here for the gun. But it's kind of unfortunate because this thing has custom grips, because it is not the real gun. Loading it feels very authentic, and it feels like you're loading a real revolver, and you can totally spin the barrel and slide it so that it's primed and ready like a real revolver. And it doesn't really give anything away that it's fake, aside from the fact that the bullets have a hole in the bottom. But, it feels pretty real, and from a distance, it would totally be unmistakable as the real gun. So, if you're looking for a gun that is very cost effective to shoot, you're able to shoot in your backyard if you have the room and if you have the privacy for, this is probably your best bet at the price point. This is awesome. And if you're real interested in revolvers like I am, not really a big fan of regular pistols, but something about revolvers I like. And this one is awesome because it looks like the real Python and it feels like the real Python. And if you've ever seen a real Python, this looks very similar. And if you ever held one, this also feels very similar too. If you're familiar with double and single action hammers, that's what this one has, both. So you pull back the hammer and then you can pull the trigger for an easier trigger pull, or you can just pull the trigger and it'll pull the hammer back for you as you pull the trigger, as seen here. And then you'll see me also pull the hammer back with my finger like that, and that's single action. So it does both actions, and the other thing to mention is it will keep firing even if you're all out of BBs. So once you fire the 6 rounds, it will just dry fire, and that's not good because then you're just wasting CO2. So it's important to count your shots, or at least know what it sounds like for it to be a dry fire, so you're not just shooting a bunch of blanks and wasting your CO2. Even though it's really cheap, it kind of doesn't matter anyways. But yeah, this is totally off topic, as you guys may have known, and as I've mentioned before, but it was just something that I kind of a guilty pleasure that I bought. And I don't want to go through the hassle of owning a real gun and having permits and having to only be able to shoot it at a shooting range, whereas this I can just take to my backyard, set up a few cans, and only spend a few cents worth of my money for an hour of fun. And that's what this gun pretty much provides. It's for that niche market. And if you're looking for anything more, then I'd recommend going for a real gun, but anything less would probably be a plastic BB gun. But yeah, this is perfect for any of you who don't want a real cheap feeling gun. This thing feels very quality. And for those of you looking for a perfect revolver. So yeah, that's about it for my review. As you can see here, these are all the accessories that I bought with it. Just Crossman CO2, Daisy BBs, and that Crossman stuff that you put on the top of your, I think it's called Pelican oil or something like that. You put it on top of your CO2 so it keeps the seal longer and makes the seal inside the CO2, or inside the gun, makes the seal puncher. It makes it last longer if you use that. But yeah, that's about it for this review, guys. If you liked my video, please leave a like. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section. I will try to reply to them as soon as I can. And subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like the one you're seeing here. And that's about it, guys. I will see you guys in my next video.